Alright guys, hope you're on a fantastic day. My name is Joseph and welcome back to some more Batman Arkham Knight. Of course, not too long ago I went ahead and platinumed this game. We did part of that on stream, but I did the rest of it off camera. So I decided just to wrap up all of the Batman Arkham coverage I've been doing for the last like 2 weeks. I decided to go over all the Batmobile skins. I also did a Batsuits video ranking if you want to check that out. But without further ado, let's get started with and at number 12, we find the Robin themed Batmobile. And let me give this car its props. It is very well designed, it's very well crafted. I love the little details of the Robin logo on the top, on both sides, as well as on the back. And that's something I can say with all these Batmobile skins, that all of them are really well crafted. The only problem is, why the hell is Batman the one driving it? Like, this is modeled for Robin, and because Robin isn't a playable character in the game, you only have Batman riding this. So it makes it so confusing as to why this is even included. Like, I get that Robin is a pretty important character, but we honestly could have done without this design. Speaking of designs that we could have done without, here is the Riddler themed Batmobile. The problem with this is I just don't get it. It's literally just the car, the basic Batmobile, with some green little decorations and highlights. I get that it's supposed to like resemble like, oh, a Riddler goon just walked up to the Batmobile and decided to vandalize it. And it looks fine, but it looks super like, it feels like it's missing something. It's not like, this to me feels like a cop out from giving us the Joker mobile. Like, this could have been like, they could have just given us the Joker mobile and that would have looked so much better. And plus, for free roam, it's not all that cool because you can't, like, after beating Riddler during his side quest, this is no longer as fun. It's cool while you're doing the side quest, but it's not as cool. Then we have the Mark II. And what's frustrating about this, or not suit, Batmobile, is that it could have been so good. Like, I could see this being the suit I would use with the Prestige suit because of the yellow highlights, but because Rocksteady had to make the Batmobile so important to the game, even after the original got destroyed, spoiler alert, by the Arkham Knight, and they gave us this. It's just incomplete, as you can see. It's like, it's still that light gray. It still says Mark II on it, which it's probably a cool detail, but I don't think as a finished product it would have that. So if it wasn't for the fact that this feels unfinished, feels incomplete, this would have ranked much higher. Picking up the top 10, which to be honest is not really much of a compliment on this list because of how small it is, but we got the Rocksteady themed Batmobile. Speaking of Rocksteady, earlier, this is the car that they designed themselves. It of course has the Rocksteady logo and it has all the bats on the back. And that's the problem with this, is that the front is just blank. It's the same design as the original model. There's nothing new about it. The only interesting part is the back. I can understand why, because it's meant to show like the bats spreading out as they move to the back. And plus, I guess the other thing is that when you're using this, you're only really looking at the back, but because the front is unfinished, I can't really say much in terms of compliments for this car, unfortunately. At number 9, we have the 1966 themed Batmobile. This is not the actual 60s one. This is just a recolor of the base car, and the 60s car is coming up soon. But the issue with this car that keeps it relatively low is because I don't really like double dipping in terms of, like, we already got the 60s car. We don't need a reskin of the original just to make it look like the 60s car that we also get in the game. I appreciate the effort. The black and red obviously is a really cool color combination, but if it had like a different logo and was based off of something else, like for example Batman Beyond, or as you can see here, the Earth 2 Batman skin, any skin that basically has the red and black color scheme, if they had that logo instead, it would have ranked much higher. Next up is the prototype Batmobile. Now you're probably scratching your head wondering, why is this in the top 10? Well, that's because this even though it's a really, really basic design and it doesn't really pop all that much, it tells a story. Like especially with the fact that the back has that like little hump, as well as on the wheels, maybe the car was being a little too heavy, which is kind of funny considering the next entry. But considering the fact that it was probably a little bit too heavy for Batman to drive in, he went ahead and shaved off all of the pieces that were making it a little too heavy. And to be honest, I like this more than the Mark II Batmobile and kind of wish that this was the Mark II that we ended up getting rather than the just basic reskin with the yellow highlights that we ended up getting as the Mark II Batmobile. And plus, if they removed the little dummy logos on the wheels, which is a really cool detail in and of itself, but if they ended up removing that, put in the bat symbol that we see on the other cars, this could have worked very, very well as the Mark II vehicle. Up next, we have the Tumbler, which is a cool design, obviously, but I do wish that it came with the tank mode or battle mode, because if you've seen the film, you know that it does have guns. Those are on the side, and it probably would have been difficult for them to put it on the side, so I'll give them that. But at least, just to compensate, just give us a gun at the top. That would have been pretty good and would have honestly sufficed. But I do appreciate that the design looks ripped straight from the film, and also it has an accurate entrance and exit animation, which you'll be able to see in the footage. So the top does end up retracting in order to let Batman enter, which is a cool detail indeed. And barely inching out of the top 5 is the 1970s reskin. Now, this is definitely top 5 worthy just on a details level alone. You can see it has the yellow and blue color scheme that is synonymous with the 1970s Batsuit. It also has the bat symbol with the classic uh, just bat, and then with the yellow oval around it. And as you guys obviously know, the reason that this is down here is because I'm not a fan of bright colors, just in general. Like, whether it's a Batsuit, whether it's a Batmobile. So, just based on that principle alone, I had to put this just outside the top 5. And here we go, top 5 time. And just as a quick note, the next few skins are all based on previous properties, so they are not reskins of the default Batmobile. We have mostly covered all of them, but this is the Batman vs Superman Batmobile. And same thing as the Tumbler, the only thing that really holds it back is the fact that it doesn't come with some sort of tank mode to utilize that giant tank in the front of the car. But besides that, it has an amazing entrance and exit animation, and it sounds really good and it looks really good as well. At number 4, we have the 1966 Batmobile. This is the actual 1966 Batmobile that we see in the TV show. And I mean, this is really, really a good design. It has everything that you would expect in the 1960s Batmobile, including a nice little license plate, which is such an amazing detail, and the fact that it's obviously made to look like the Corvette from the show, as well as the film that is based off of the show. The only issue I have with it is that I wish it came with an actual animation rather than Batman just hopping into the vehicle to ride it. I wish that there was a little animation where the door would open, and even if Batman would just jump in, just the fact that the door would open is would have been a pretty cool detail to see indeed. Into the top 3 now, we have the 1989 Batmobile. This technically is also can be called the 90s Batmobile because I'm pretty sure it was the same one that was used in the Keaton films as well as in the Joel Schumacher films. And I mean, there's nothing much to say about this car. I love the fact that it has the same compact style, and it also has a really cool entrance animation. It has a similar one to the Tumbler and the BBS Batmobile, where it just retracts to let Batman in. The only thing that I wish was included is not necessarily a tank mode, and for this one I can actually excuse this for this car because I don't want the tank mode. I just want one thing in the tank mode, which is the power winch that was used, I believe, several times in the films. Our runner-up is the default Batmobile. Now, is it basic? Yes, but sometimes there is nothing better than the classics, and this is a great example of that. It doesn't have any strange recolors, even some obvious recolors. Fits so well with this environment of Batman Arkham Knight. Just like the default bat suit and obviously the prestige suit, it fits very, very well in this environment, and so it has to be. I bet most of you would say Batman the Animated Series. I mean, they got Paul Dini, Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. They had the two main voice actors for both Batman and the Joker returning, and the whole vibe, especially of Arkham Asylum, fit a continuation of Batman the Animated Series, and that translates even more to the Batmobile that was seen in Arkham Asylum. And of course, that had to be my number one. It looks so cool. It is both nostalgic and modern at the exact same time. Of course, it has the armor that you would expect of a modern combat vehicle, but it also comes with the much sleeker design, similar to the Lamborghini that we see in the animated series, as well as a little bit of inspiration from the 1989 Batmobile, with the kind of similar shape. And whether it's parked in Asylum while you're traversing through the Asylum, or if it's in the garage of Origins getting built, it is amazing regardless of whether it's playable or not playable. But that is my list. If you guys enjoyed, and especially if you have a different take or maybe a similar take, let me know down in the comments. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you on the next one.